Kia makaia, taku kotaha, ki te raki, ki te tonga, ki te uru, ki te rāwhiti kātau. Ka titia I konei ki te pai o Party People. Ka tākaia ki te mihi ka whiua ki a koutou, e hika mā, ko mihi ngārangi tēnei nau mai, hoki mai, ki a Party People. Welcome to this breakout episode of Party People. Nā te Puna tongarewa a Irirangi te Motu I Utua. We're here to convene a special Council of Chiefs, otherwise known as Tauhenare and Shane Te Pau, to discuss the National Party leadership bust-up. Tēnā kōrua.
E ora.
E piana?
Paira watu.
So 48 hours ago, Simon Bridges was minding his own business, tweeting about his new book and growing a mullet, and seemingly plotting to roll his leader, Judith Collins. Tau, what was going on for the National Party in the last couple of weeks?
The two houses, there's one house, the Lannisters. On one go you got Cersei, and on the other one is Tyrion. And they're reasonably happy with each other. There's no crossover, there's no fighting, but really in the back kitchen, they are going hammer and tongs at each other. And Cersei knows that she wants to be queen, and if she can't be queen, he can't be king. That's what's happened. That's what's happened in the last 48 hours.
What are you hearing, Shane?
Well, it was really on over the last 2 weeks. Yep. Simon had told people, his inner sanctum, that he was going to give it a go, and then others thought, well, if he's going to give it a go, we'll all be in. And, other forces were lining up. Langston was sort of trying to raise his profile, so it was all on for the last 2 weeks. And it was only a matter of time, a little bit, perhaps I'd had a little bit to drink some 6 weeks ago when I said that it was on, but it was on, and it was slowly getting momentum, and the polls pushed people to move a little bit quicker.
Yes, and this is all hearsay, as we might say. But this isn't Simon's first rodeo, is it, Tau?
No, he'd been in the ring before and he got knocked out, when a heavyweight gets knocked out, gee, I don't think you should go again. I think you should save yourself. I think you should protect yourself. Don't do it. But he's been behind the scenes. Tyrion's behind the scenes trying to get the crown off Cersei. This really is a chapter of the House Lannister, and it's all come crashing down. And you know what? Because Cersei pulled the pin on the grenade and forgot to throw the grenade. Instead, she threw the pin and held on to the grenade, and it all blew up.
That was a great tweet that week. I think that was Chris Wikaida who might have tweeted that one.
He's great.
Did he see it coming? Did Simon Bridges see this coming, Shane?
I think he did see it coming. And also, Judith's behaviour over the last 48 hours is Judith we've all known since she came into Parliament. It was only a matter of time where it was going to be self-destruction, and she had one card to play. Let's take him out. He's my main opposition, but, it exploded in her face and badly, and rightfully so,
and she's
too.
Put herself in front of the party, which is reprehensible. In politics, you always do put yourself up.
Let's recap. So on our last episode, only a few days ago,
yes.
You'll recall, Shane. Shane said Judith Collins will burn the house down before she hands over the keys to the leadership. Simon had beaten her in the News Hub poll for preferred leader. She might have listened to that show, who knows, because the next night she issued a press statement at 9:30 p.m, which commentators said was career-ending for Simon Bridges. We all went to bed and we thought it was, did we?
Yeah, well, I thought to myself, no, this can't be the end of it. There has to be another chapter. And lo and behold, the old pyromaniac Judith she put herself and everybody else in the caucus inside the shed and torched it. And really, that's where we are at. Can you sort through the rubble? Can you put out the little flames that have been left behind? What do you do with the arsonist? And there's not just one arsonist. There's two, and the other one is Simon. So basically, you need to deselect Simon or Tyrion and Cersei and let the others have fair go.
So politics is fickle, as we know. You're a political nut. You watched it play down. You probably didn't even sleep very much.
Didn't.
So excited.
No, that's right.
The next morning, you see them all turn up to Parliament. Where did Judith Collins go wrong?
Judith Collins overplayed her card, overplayed the hyperbole, the political hyperbole, which she does every time. When I read, and I read the press statement really carefully. She talked about a verbal issue that arose several years ago. Several means more than 3. So, I didn't think that she had anything on this guy that was relevant and recent. And the other thing is that, you got to give someone his due. He's, this guy was a Crown prosecutor at a very young age. I thought that he would have a very good position by the next morning. He was wise. He didn't react immediately, but what he did do is he held his leader to his account, and he said, I'm demanding a caucus at 9 a.m. the next day. And then I think that stand-up just before he went in, I knew then it was certainly all over.
Yeah, you're a national man, too, and you've been talking about the two sides. Used to be. In the past, the the National Party is an amalgamation of the Liberals and the Conservatives from way back in 1936. What is it currently, and what does the future look like?
It's a combination of things. I don't think there are those from 1936 that have that sort of liberal and conservative vision anymore. What we've got there is journeymen. Who are there because they know somebody in the party. There are really skilled people. I think there are too many people who have come through Parliament itself, you working in Parliament itself. But hey, it's all a new game, as you go on. And I think there's quite a lot of people who could actually bring the party together if they only tried, if they only put their own tuckers at the back instead of in the front. Yeah.
I mean, National used to be untouchable, Shane?
Yeah.
And I guess, do you blame the leadership or do you look to the back end of the political party?
All of it. First of all, Judith went, the president has to go. This thing where Judith said, oh, well, the board had supported me, and now after he became a hero, he got brave when she left, he should have immediately said, no, that wasn't quite true. So they need to go. Here is the fundamental problem with the National Party. They're stuck in an economic time zone that's 30-odd years old. They've got a lack of diversity. They haven't got their finger on the pulse in terms of issues that are particularly important to younger people, climate change, etc. And they're looking for 1950s, 60s solutions to 1921 issues.
Yeah, but let's not forget the Labour Party, not so long ago, went through 5 or 6 leaders as well.
Yeah.
So they've been through that and they've come out the other end. And there's a group of people in the National Party who will be thinking, okay, this is our worst day.
Yeah.
This is as bad as it gets. Can we move into that sort of new 3, 5, 7, 10-year period and change things around? Because it's going to take a while. It's not going to happen by Friday next week.
Could it get worse?
Yeah, it can get worse, because what the Labour Party didn't have, they really didn't have force on the centre-left, where National Party has a force on the centre right, and that's so it absolutely could get worse. If this next leader fails, they're going to have some problems.
It's a Labour. That's a Labour man talking now.
It could get worse.
Because you know what, Shane's got his hand on the knife and he's going like, and he loves it.
Okay,
that's why he's up until 3 o'clock in the morning.
Tell me what you think.
So okay, what's going to happen is that I'm picking.
Yes.
I'm actually picking.
Are we going to the picking now?
Oh, no. We'll save that. We'll save that because I'm going to knock your socks off.
Okay, what's going to happen with Judith Collins now? She should be. She's told Mikey Sherman she's going to stand again in Papakura.
Oh, who cares what Judith is saying?
Got to go.
The fact of the matter is, she actually lied.
Yeah.
She lied. She said the board of the National Party is unanimously behind the decision.
Yeah.
Bollocks.
Yeah.
The board wasn't. And Shane is absolutely right. The president should have come up right then and there and said, actually, sorry, that's not what the board said. We just want an inquiry into what's happening.
Should the president go then?
Of course he should. He should have gone ages ago over the Jamie Lee Ross debacle.
The worst political loss in a generation.
Absolutely.
Eh?
The stuff is piling up on the president. But here's the problem with getting rid of the president. You've got yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full board members.
Yeah.
Who actually should go as well.
Just on Judith Collins, will they have her back?
They ought not to. They've got a good excuse to get rid of her. She will not go quietly. She'll sit on the backbench, and I listened to what she said. Oh, I will speak for those that that need a voice. There will be 10% of her that will say, I've got another crack at this, and she will undermine whoever gets that job. You've got to get rid of her, and I think they've got the ability to do that, and they should do it quickly.
But it's like Finlayson said, both
I agree.
Judith
Both of them
and Simon at the next election should toddle off and find something else to do, because it's too toxic. The whole, even if you get rid of one, the other part of the toxic duo is still there.
But also, if you've been on the political scene for 20 years, what new have you got to offer? You can't just reinvent yourself. You've been there 20 years, you've had your go, you haven't got leadership, you're not Prime Minister by then. Haere atu.
Yeah.
Would things be different if Bill English had stayed on?
Oh, no, most probably not. I think it would have just put it off. It would have left it in abeyance until Bill had decided to go anyway. And then you would have still seen the scrap between Simon and Judith erupt over the next 3 years.
Okay, well, Shane Reti, he's the interim leader. He uri no Ngāpuhi, Ngāti Wai, Ngāti Hine, Ngāti Kura.
That's us.
He's got a Bachelor of Human Biology, Obstetrics, Medicine, Surgery, received a scholarship to work at Harvard. He's received a Queen's Service Medal for services to the community, sat on the Northland District Health Board, recently gone back to the tools. He's been administering vaccinations all through the north, knocking on doors with iwi. He won the Whangarei seat 2014 and has been the deputy leader since 2020. Is he a future Prime Minister?
I think he is. I think he's the sort of he's the epitome of a 1950s, 1960s Māori national supporter who's done all of that and hasn't patted himself on the back. You see it yesterday in the press conference. He was very assured. He knew that there's a job that needs to be done, and that's to get to Tuesday, and then from there, you pick your leader and let's build the party again. He's a good set of hands. He's not going to set the world on fire, but who in the National Party in the last 85 years has set the world on fire? Maybe Muldoon. He's set the world on fire. He's set New Zealand on fire as well. But it's he's in that mould.
Just on that description you had of him, 50s, 60s. In elections gone past, in the Māori electorates, there was always about 10% in the party vote that fluctuated between National and New Zealand First. Yep. I mean, is that the kind of Māori that might change their colours?
Absolutely. I mean, I've been seeing it on my Facebook, on my Twitter, and even I've got texts from other people that who you wouldn't think they were hearty national supporters, but they are now, especially if Shane gets the nod. But there are other players in the market as well, and this is not just about being nice.
Yes, we'll get there soon. Yeah. Shane, it's a great CV.
It's a great CV. It's a great CV, great backstory.
Why isn't he being touted as the leader?
Well, you know what?
Is it possible?
Today on a television poll, he got 60% support, and I think the next person was at 15, 20. He's the only success story of the National Party over the last 12 years. Last 12 months, he lost his seat, but they lost rangitata. I don't think the people will hold that against him. The problem that he has is that every time he was talking sense, common sense, his leader was talking hyperbole. When you talk about his background, this is a guy, when the bombs went off in the Boston Marathon, he was a first responder. He's got a fantastic backstory. And the other thing with the good Dr. Reti is what you see is what you get. He ain't going to play the politics of the game. He'll play the ball, not the man. And I think he will be a safe set of hands. He may not be the answer in terms of winning the next election, but I think he'll help build National towards a victory in maybe in 2 cycles.
Will he be tainted by Collins?
No, I think he put that to rest yesterday in terms of his handling of that stand up. He's got internal mana, he's got external mana, and I just think that he's less of a risk than the other contenders.
He's like that old doctor.
Yeah.
That you really, really love to sit on your bed when you're crook. When you've got a crook guts or when you've got a headache or your tonsils are inflamed, you want the old Shane, Dr. Shane, to be at your bedside.
To nurse you.
Hey, I had Dr. Rutter You know, he was like 150 years old. He liked that. You know, you want that reassurance. The party needs it.
Why is the media and, you know, other commentators not touting him as one of the possible leaders?
Here's the reason why. The mainstream media love nothing more than a spill. They love nothing more than politicians trying to rip each other's throats out. Honestly, it's the go-to game for the press gallery.
Yeah, exactly, and also part of it is they want people who they know won't succeed.
Yeah, that's right.
Because there's no story there's no story in someone who's moderate and who's someone who takes a slowly but steady approach. They want the so-called star that will go up, and you know the problem with stars, they come down just as quickly, don't they?
But here's the problem. You know, we're singing the praises of Shane, Dr. Shane.
Yeah.
Kiss of death, you reckon?
He's great. I love him. I love him. Love him to bits. Not only because he's a northerner.
Nothing to
apparently,
do with it.
But is he going to be the leader on Tuesday?
Yeah, that's the issue.
And let's, you know, you got to put aside what your dreams and hopes might be. What's the reality on Tuesday?
Yeah, what do you think? Is he just a placeholder?
He is a placeholder, and he is actually a person I'd keep on as deputy leader, at the very least, because he can do that job. And the deputy leader's job is to rally the troops, is to put A over here and number 2 over here. You know, it's that sort of job.
Is he a Michael Cullen?
Yeah, he is. Cullen was fantastic. Cullen was fantastic. Could have been Cullen would have been a great Prime Minister. But at the end of the day, he knew where his skills lay.
The other thing about Shane Reti, he's very good at policy development, and he'll also take a bit of a radical approach when it's needed. Quite conservative on some health issues, but medical marijuana, he was right behind it. He had articulated a very good policy. So I think he's got the skills.
Not opposed to the Māori Health Authority?
No, not opposed to the Māori Health Authority. Issues over reproductive rights that I've got a fundamental problem with him over,
yes.
But you know.
But he's been working with iwi in the COVID challenge and supportive of iwi being funded and resourced to do so. Last year he was elected unopposed to become deputy. Is he liked by his colleagues? I think
he is liked by his colleagues, and I think he's more liked over the last 24 hours because he's risen above and he's done he's done what he had to do for the caucus, and he's done what he's had to do with the party. I'm really not prepared to rule him out in terms of the leadership. And the other thing is that, you know, often what happens here is you could have two warring parties, and I think it's between Luxton and Bridges. Sometimes those two warring parties have to come together and a third person comes through the middle, and I'm just not prepared to rule Dr. Shane Reti out.
Well, he whanaungarewa, and, you know, as Kiriama Wright says on Twitter, that we now have 3 ngāpuhi leading political parties, including Marama Davidson, David Seymour, now Shane Reti.
Yeah. There's only one more to get.
What is it with the North?
Calvin should have stayed in you know, knocked Jacinda off, and we would have had 4 ngāpuhis running the show.
Yes. What is it with the North?
What is it with the North?
Yes, and politics.
Well, being the people that were first colonised, you know, and we
signed the treaty
long time ago. You know, we've had the treaty, we've had all sorts of things happen up there, and you know, we rise above it. Cream rises to the top.
Yeah, wow. Just settle your treaty, mate. And
okay, let's look at some of the other contenders. Christopher Luxon is won the Botany seat in 2020 following the Jamie Lee Ross scandal. He was the CEO for Air New Zealand. People seem to like that.
So what?
He's spokesperson for Land Information, Government Research, Science, Manufacturing and Transport.
Yeah, it's not, seriously, I'm not being facetious. So what? The CEO of a monopoly where you have a whole bunch of people paid $300,000 to help you make decisions, and you actually can't really make the strategic decisions without going to the board, and John Key was on the board. It's a totally over-exaggerated CV.
What do you think, Toe?
Yeah, I think, you know, when it's like Shane says, you're running a business, but at the back of you, the government is there to catch you if you fail. And they have done a couple of times. So yeah. I don't think.
One commentator this morning said 1 year in politics just not enough. And suggested that if he was a woman, you know, everyone would be talking about it.
Yeah, it could be. Look, I actually think he's not as good as he thinks.
But here's the other thing.
Well, hang on.
But here's the other thing. They've tried an experiment. It failed dismally. 53 days or 55 days, the guy was the leader of the opposition. They can't get this one wrong. And why would you go with someone that has no experience and that people don't know?
Kapai, let's move on to Mark Mitchell from the Rodney electorate. He's been in Parliament since 2011. He's tipped to contest the Auckland mayoralty and has a defence background. Thoughts?
Yeah. I think Mark is a very, very capable, and I think he may be the one, and because he has experience in that field, he may be the one that brings the factions together. He may be the one that brings most of the people around the table, other than Judith.
Shane?
Yeah, I think he could be in sort of a Holyoke mode, build towards the middle, but I just don't know whether he's going to have the numbers in the caucus. And he had a crack at it last time, didn't actually run in the end, and I just don't know whether he's got the numbers. But again, he could be a compromise candidate.
But he's building the leadership team as we speak.
Okay, I'm going to move right on to Chris Bishop, spokesperson for COVID-19
Well,
response.
like I said, well, I haven't said it yet, but I'm going to.
You're going to?
Is a Willis Bishop team. I'd love for them to, as young people, jump up and say, right, we're the team. Bishop as leader or Willis as leader, but it's a package. You get us both.
Shannon's going to get your response to Chris Bishop.
No, you can't have Bishop and Willis because they're both from Wellington. They're both sort of that urban liberal. If I was Chris Bishop, I'd wait my turn. If it's not going to be this cycle, the guy's only 38. He's got a little bit of time. I think sometimes he's overplays his card with the COVID thing, and it just isn't time.
He's the only one that's held the Prime Minister and your lot to account over COVID.
Do you agree?
He is one of them. He is one of them. But I also think that Shane Rete, when he was able to run his dialogue, he did make some very good traction in there. And the other person, you are quite right, that has held this government to account, particularly in housing, is Willis.
Yes. So she has a degree in literature, diploma in journalism. She's worked for both Key and English. She's been on the list since 2018. Tell me why you like Nicola Willis.
Because I think today you have to have a woman. Let's put the cards on the table. If you think that you are going to have a leadership team of male and male, you are stupid. You are out the gate stupid. There has to be in the team male, female. End of story.
Shane?
Also, part of that is she's a mum of young kids, so she brings a sort of realistic perspective.
4?
And 4 kids. And also, I actually had a bit of time discussion with her. She's really likeable.
And so I'm going to ask you your picks now. So, To, if you could, with all of those people in the mix, who would you be picking, voting for if you were in the caucus?
If I was in there, most probably myself. No. I would, if I was there.
He is from the north.
Yeah.
I'd be voting for Mark Mitchell. And it's because I don't think Shane is going to be there, even though he's the loveliest person on earth.
Would he be a deputy?
Well, you've got to have a woman.
Right. So you'd have Mitchell and...
I'd have Mitchell as leader and Willis as deputy leader.
Shane?
If it was my choice, Rete, Willis, urban, rural, liberal, socially conservative,
And black and
Māori,
white.
Māori, Pākehā. Great mix.
Great, Max. Well, there's been there's a wild card. Erica Stanford studied politics at Auckland Uni, worked in TV exporting before becoming Murray McCulley's lecturer, worked in the office. In 2017, when he retired, she stood for East Coast Bays and won. She's their spokesperson for ECE and immigration. What do you think?
She's actually very, very clever. And she does the hard yards. She's always out there. I think it might be too early. I'm not sure, but I think it is the wild card, and I think next time round, this leadership has to go from Tuesday next week to the election. Can't be any break.
What do you have you got a wild card, or is she yours?
No, I think Rete is a wild card. And I hate to go on like a crack record about him. I think that she's in the wash. Particularly, she made some good progress in terms of split family and migration. But overall, Toes lot, the Tories, very shallow gene pool and talent pool.
Okay.
Yeah, talk about shallow gene pool.
I'm going to look at other leaders in Parliament. Party people reached out to some of the smaller political leaders about Shane Reti, its interim appointment, and Marama Davidson, co-leader for the Greens, she said, and I quote, "I've worked and interacted with Shane. He's one of the most dignified national MPs, and I know he cares about the well-being of Māori." Tau, would other contenders have such strong relationships with party leaders?
No, here's the thing. Who cares what you think? It's not about you. It's not about whether you can work with anybody. The fact of the matter is the vote is with National Caucus. Nobody cares about whether Rawiri thinks they can get on with National or Marama Fox believes that can. That's not going to happen anyway. The Greens and the Nats aren't going to be in a coalition, for goodness sake.
But they have worked together on climate change.
Toe is right. They won't care what Marama Fox says, but they might care what Marama Davidson says. No, I think that there are some. Yeah. I think there are some. I think there are some central issues where you need to build cross coalition support, and we had that with the housing, and I think one which is very important is climate change.
Hey, but don't forget that the Māori Party and the National Party actually had an agreement at one stage. The Māori Party told party people that they're pleased that Dr. Reti is at the helm, that he showed great leadership over the pandemic in the community. The jury, they say, is still out whether he can provide necessary change.
How'd that work out for
but that's not. Yeah, and that ain't going to
didn't work out too well.
But does it give him a bit of credibility?
It does give him a bit of credibility because I think there are issues where you can build cross-party support. We've seen it with housing, and I think we need to do it with climate change because it's not about who's in government in the next 3, 6, 9. It's about the next 20 years. So climate change is a nation builder issue.
We're running out of time. Tweet, please.
My tweet of the day is actually about us. Remember last Tuesday when we called it? Before any of the mainstream people called it, this is from Terry Boucher at Trabac. Wouldn't that be the three of you laughing in between saying, "I told you so"?
That's right.
That was us about what was happening.
You get 2 tweets next week because we've run out of time. A big mihi, of course, to Public Interest Journalism Fund for supporting this kaupa. Hioi anō e te iwi tēnei te kotaha o Party People. Ka hiki ka whakahoki tōna Māori ki te wao nui a tāne kia tiakina atu ai anō ngā kōrero o te wā hei matapaki mā tātou. Ko mihi ngārangi tēnei, noho ramaira.